Hi all, I have a very interesting historical game to show you today, played in Paris 1863. Playing white was Hans Lindehn, who you may never have heard of. He was playing against Ladislas Maczuski. So Lindehn, if you look on Wiki for the Danish Gambit, actually has a number of key variations of the Danish Gambit named after him. So this game started with e4, e5. So this move d4. So it's quite interesting for me because I like playing this idea c3 against the Sicilian defense. I know it's a very different position, but the idea of accelerating development is attractive. And it was actually attractive to a number of attacking players, including Alexander Alekhine, who after d takes c3 would play knight takes c3. That was his recommendation. But there's a number of Lindehn lines which actually feature bishop c4, so offering yet another pawn. Now in this game, Lindehn was playing a materialistic, greedy opponent who wanted to just win loads of material and consolidate. So would he get away with it in this game? He actually took, very greedy, yeah? Bishop takes b2, he played a check, knight c3, and not content now with two pawns, white played knight ge2, offering a third pawn to his mega greedy opponent. So is black going to suffer indigestion here, eating all these pawns? White castles, knight takes, and black may already be in a losing position here, believe it or not. Black chose bishop takes c3 in this position. If black castles, then knight d5 is exceptionally powerful. It's hitting the bishop and threatens queen g4. And I'll give you an example. Bishop e7, we can just take on e7 to stop any bishop f6, because that's quite sneaky. Because what we want to do here is target g7 very directly. And you'll note here, because that pawn is pinned, there's no easy defense of g7. Black is lost, completely dead lost here. That shows the power of it. If black, obviously he was very, very greedy, so it just shows the power of white's position is evident already here. And if you're really a little bit more interested as well here, if you wanted to stop queen g4, you might have that as a question. Again, white can get a big advantage in this position. Here is a big advantage. I'll give you an example. So white's threatening rook c1, and this is just an enormous position. We can even offer this bishop here. This is just a fantasy variation I'm showing you, showing the pitfalls of black's greediness. Yes, it's just extremely dangerous, this kind of scenario. And if the king went over there, queen h5, say, this could happen, for example. So this is how to punish greedy opponents. So black played bishop takes and covered the possibility here of queen g4. If black castles, again we have that queen g4 familiar. Black covered that with queen g5. White played a check, and now the king went to d8. If the king goes to f8, this is crushing. Bishop b4 check, and there's a back row weakness, funny enough, after bishop takes, crashing through on that back rank. So the king went to d8, yeah, because otherwise bishop b4 is murder. And then we have now white to play. He played, can you guess? It's one of the better moves. It might not be the strongest move, but it's one of the more interesting moves. f4. It seems in some ways a bit reckless because there's a check, right? This wasn't used actually. Dropping the bishop. This position is fine for white, funny enough, because of bishop f6 as well as taking the rook. So this is going to be fine for white. So Black actually took the pawn though. We have bishop takes g7, rook g8. Now, what does white want to do here? This is make or break time. Actually, this position. This is actually make or break time. There's a bishop hanging here, remember, as well. But no, the king's there, so you'd think because of that danger that actually that bishop's immune, you'll be thinking. But however, there's a really, really good move here which is played. There's a number of very, very good moves in this position. It's a very, very strong position because of the king safety aspect. It's nearly zero king safety. So what would you play? Guess the spectacular move that was played in this position. If I give you 5 seconds to pause the video. Outrageous, spectacular move. Okay, the move played, Queen G4, trying to drag the queen away, deflect the queen away from protecting the F6 square. Yeah. Now, so if takes, we have bishop F6, checkmate. So black played Queen D6, and now, guess what? Bishop F6 check anyway, hitting the rook. So queen takes is mate, check, mate. By the way, it was a very, very strong position here. I mean, there were actually a number of moves in this position which favour white. Queen D2 to try and distract away from F6. For example, like this. This is a strong position because it now introduces another element of checkmating. Well, this, if takes, we have rook E8 checkmate. So this is also a disaster position for black. And if queen takes, then we have check here. So this is also like disastrous. So either, you know, Queen D2 and Queen C1, these are all strong moves as well as Queen G4. So yeah, it shows how the game reminds us how greedy opponents should be punished when they violate practically all opening principles. But it's also historically interesting to show one of Lindehn's games, which we have it on this channel. One of the a lot of name variations in the Danish Gambit are named after him, based on the bishop c4 move for bishop c4. So I hope you got something out of it. Comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks very much.